Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a beer, it's time for some Path of Exile discussion. Today is day 8 of spoiler season for 3.17 for the Archnemesis Challenge League and for the Siege of the Atlas endgame expansion. And today we have one piece of news, which is the overhaul to a unique item that, whilst it's not something that's ever taken the meta by storm, the Dancing Dervish and Dancing Duo certainly have had their fans. There's a little bit of history on this item. The Dancing Dervish was something that was added to the game quite some time ago. Then there was a Dancing Duo added as a Prophecy upgrade to it. You may know that Prophecy is being removed in 3.17, link in the description below to a video just outlining that. But the key thing that needs to be mentioned here is that whenever the Dancing Dervish will drop, it used to be that you had an extra quest in order to make it into the item that was actually worth using. So in 3.16, you kind of needed to upgrade it to this, the Dancing Duo, for it to be any good at all. In 3.17, that extra quest in the form of a prophecy is no longer going to exist. Instead, the item will drop with stats reasonably comparable to the old Dancing Duo. So if it drops for you, and it might be a bit rarer than it used to be, but if the Dancing Dervish drops for you, it will drop already as upgraded as it's going to get. So what does this item do? While you're fighting with it, there comes a point in a map, and this is usually very early. In fact, builds based around the Dancing Duo, this will be almost instantly upon entering a map, where this weapon will leave your hands, split in two, and these two copies of it that'll fly around the map will do your killing for you. That's the underlying gimmick that makes this such a unique weapon, and makes it something that is so different to so many other ways of playing Path of Exile. However, the actual mechanics by which you manifest the dervishes have changed a little bit. So let's have a quick look at it line by line. You'll notice that the new Dancing Dervish still has roughly similar physical damage to the old version. 60% global accuracy rating hasn't changed. 150% increased physical damage is within the range of what the Dancing Duo can roll, as are the attack speed bonuses, and you'll also have this movement speed bonus of 5%, which is flat. So presumably nothing has changed in the first 4 lines. Next, you'll notice there's a very small line that's change on the next line. Triggers level 15, Manifest Dancing Dervish Ez on Rampage. The Dancing Duo has 2 lines that combine to make this up. Triggers level 15, Manifest Dancing Dervish on Rampage, and Manifest Dancing Dervish also manifests a copy of Dancing Dervish. So what it looks like is happening here. The existing version of the Dancing Dervish, the not upgraded version that exists in 3.16, doesn't spawn the second copy. It doesn't have this extra line at the end. What it looks like is that this is being baked into the fundamental functionality of the Manifest Dancing Dervish line. So instead of having 2 lines of text on the Dancing Duo that add up to spawning 2 copies of this minion when you rampage, instead, you're going to have 1 line of text that will do that. So that's really no change to the upgraded version, although to the non-upgraded version, it is a doubling in both damage projection and damage capability. Next, we'll have Manifested Dancing Dervishes disable both weapon slots. This means that you can't just use another weapon once your Dancing Dervishes run off to do their own thing. These have to be your weapon. And also Manifested Dancing Dervish dies when Rampage ends. So Manifested Dancing Dervishes die when Rampage ends. That's the same. So fundamentally, everything we've covered so far, it seems like the new version of the Dancing Dervish is an exact copy of the Dancing Duo that exists in-game. Here's where the changes. So the Dancing Duo has the text Rampage. On the flip side, the Dancing Dervish, the new version of it, has melee hits count as Rampage kills. So for those of you that didn't play in the Rampage League and that aren't familiar with popular uniques like Bisco's Leash that provide Rampage still, Rampage was a kill streak mechanic that was added to Path of Exile as a little bit of an experiment in a very early league. It didn't stick around in any really ongoing sense, except through the use of a few specific uniques. So what it does, Rampage tracks the number of kills you've had without any significant break between them. I think it's a 5-second timer. I could be wrong on that timer. It might be a little bit longer. It feels a lot longer than 5 seconds when you're playing, but that's because in Path of Exile, 5 seconds actually is quite a long time. It's very easy to keep up a streak as a result because you only need one kill every few seconds to refresh it. Once your streak hits 15, you will have it will pop up on screen, Rampage streak, as long as you've got at least one item that grants some effect related to Rampage. So if you were using the Dancing Dervish or the Dancing Duo, you would have, once you hit 15 kills, you would have a counter appear on the screen. But you've got this text, melee hits count as Rampage kills is replacing Rampage. So this means that to get the Dancing Dervish started in the new version of it, you're just going to need to hit 15 enemies within melee. This can be hitting the same boss 15 times. And this is the big improvement here. With the Dancing Duo as it currently stands, once you lose your Rampage, it's very difficult to build it back up on a boss. In fact, you pretty much need to be a Pathfinder, and you need to be using the Writhing Jar Worm Flask. With the new version of the Dancing Dervish, you will no longer need to deal with this sort of messing around. And that's going to make this item a lot stronger, a lot stronger, because you're no longer going to need to dedicate at least one and often multiple flasks to being able to disgorge as many worms as possible, so that you can get yourself your initial 15 Rampage kills to get yourself started. Once you do get it started, the actual Manifest Dancing Dervish's skill causes these blades to gain Rampage charges every now and again when they hit a unique monster. And so that means that unless you're fighting a tanky rare, it doesn't really fall off. And when I say a tanky rare, I mean an extraordinarily tanky rare, like one that's, 15, 20 million hit points, which doesn't come up very often in mapping. And if you do, you would run past such a rare in normal play. So basically, that's what's happening with this line. Melee hits count as Rampage kills is replacing Rampage. In most situations, this is going to be a buff, but it is going to mean that some ways that you could get Rampage started in the past will no longer work. So basically, this is going to be a new factor that people are going to have to deal with. It's a little bit different to how it was. For most situations, it will be better. Ultimately, I'm looking forward to seeing what people do with the Dancing Dervish. The streamer Slippery Jim 8, who's someone who I have a lot of time for, is someone who has played a lot with this skill and certainly seems to enjoy it still. Gets a lot of smooth sort of lower red tier mapping, especially, but it's really good when you just want to blitz through low to medium tier maps fast for some sort of map farming strategy. And he's certainly capable of taking it beyond that, but usually he'll have a different build that it will be optimized for killing bosses, and then he'll have a Dancing Dervish build that he will run through lower tier maps really fast. And so that's something that I'm looking forward to seeing what people like him manage to do with the new version. Ultimately, though, I think that basically this frees up flask slots on existing versions of the build, whilst potentially ruining one or two corner cases of how it's used. That's all I got on this one. May your Vile Orbs have interesting results, and I will see you around.